today I'm interviewing a very special artist. Her name is ARI. She's been extremely successful independently, and she's here with me today. I'm so excited to have this chat with her. Ari, how are you doing?
So great. It's a beautiful day, and I'm grateful to be here.
Nice.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
So I've known Ari for a couple years, and she actually helped me write my first EP when I moved to LA. Yes, she's a songwriter as well as a singer, and she's from Canada, right? And how long has it been since you've been in LA now?
I started coming out here in 2014. At first I was bi-coastal, got my O1 visa, which was such a process, and then I started coming back and forth, and then in 2017 I made a more permanent move to LA.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so you're on your 5th EP, is that right?
That's right.
Okay, cool. Tell me a little bit about your 5th EP.
I'm so excited about it. It comes out tomorrow, which means it's probably out right now and you can check it out. So it's called Anya, which is my girlfriend's name. So obviously it's dedicated to her and has a lot to do with her. But even more importantly, it has to do with my own spiritual growth and change into fluidity when it comes to sexuality that I had no idea was part of who I am, you know. So it all started when I was doing Reiki on myself in November 2020, and I got this message from my spirit guides that, quote unquote, I'm not ready for true love until I go through a certain experience. Turned out that experience was dating women, went on a few dates, quickly met Anya, fell for her very hard, wrote a whole EP that was inspired by this change and discovering love in uncharted territory in our relationship, and kind of came together very quickly, and I'm very excited about it. It comes with a music video for She Knows It, a music video for Anya, the title track, and an acoustic music video of acoustic version of Stranger to Savior.
I love it. I follow your social media all the time, so I always kind of am up on game, like what you're doing and everything, and it's amazing how many shows you've played and just how well you do the indie game. And I think a lot of our viewers are sort of curious, like, what does it take to be an indie artist in LA? Can you talk about that?
I think it really takes building an amazing team, you know, and being a CEO. Like, I know you know what this is like.
Yeah.
Being an artist is being an entrepreneur. You know, it's not just about the creativity. I'm not the first one to say that. Yes, it's very important to be creative. And the first step is being able to actually make music you love and that you're excited about, because that could take several years. As I used to really dislike my music, and now I'm at the point over the past couple of years where I really genuinely love what I'm creating, but that took time. So that's a certain level of success I've attained. And what's really important is to have a great PR team, you know, have a distributor that you can rely on, just have collaborations, people that support you, booking agent or people that you know, like promoters, and just really having a team, you know. And it doesn't mean that you need a label to create your own team. You don't need your own label unless you want to. You don't need a publisher. You can be self-published, but as many people as you can get. So getting sync agents, you know, and all the above I mentioned already. A manager, if you can find a manager. I self-manage myself, but I have people that I can reach out to for feedback and consulting if I need some assistance, and that's good just to have that. And if you're starting at the beginning and you don't quite have the capacity to afford a full team, start with maybe getting a mentor, somebody who's a couple steps ahead of you, and seeing how you can learn from them, you know, and then go from there. Start grassroots.
How long would you say it took to put together a team of people that you trust?
I feel like it's always shifting. Like, I work with somebody and then I go, what would it be like to work with this person? Let's try that out. So I find it's good to change things up. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and expecting different results. So I try to shift what I'm doing and try different people. Okay, I tried digital marketing with these people. This is what they could do for me. Now let's try digital marketing with this company. Oh, I had a playlist promoter for, you know, this EP. Let's try for this next EP a different agency and see what they could do. So I'd say never get too comfortable unless it's like a killer team that you cannot leave. You know, of course, sometimes that happens and you hit a sweet spot working with people. But unless that happens, it's good just to keep evolving and meeting new people and seeing how you work together. And it's just good also to have some key people in your life that you can rely on and always go to when you're stuck or you need some feedback. So it took years to get to that point, but really it's trial and error. You never know how it's going to go until you dive in and take a risk working with people.
Right. You could hire someone on Fiverr and waste your money for not very many results, and then you could, you've got that go-to guy or go-to gal that always, delivers and does the right thing. And I mean, I know because I'm an indie artist as well.
Yes,
so I
like.
definitely get it. And so, so you put a team together. You're one of the most organized people that I know.
Thank you.
And as you said, you're like the CEO of your business. And so that means that you're scheduling yourself, you're hiring people. What does it take to be a CEO of your own music business?
Well, you hit the nail on the head when you said organized, and thank you for that compliment. It is actually probably one of my best qualities is I'm so hypervigilant with organization. So my calendar is segmented in half an hour to hour blocks throughout the day, regardless of what activity I'm working on. And it's very suitable to my ADHD. Like I work on mortgages to make money. I work on music as a writer for other artists and for my own project, and I advocate for mental health. And that takes up so much. I call it the 3 M's: music, mortgages, and mental health. And, it takes up all my time. That means throughout the day, I need to set timers and alarms to okay, now I'm shifting into this meeting. Now I got this interview for my music. Now I got to get in the headspace of practicing the piano. Now it's time, to have a call to sell my wellness festival. So it's really about organization.
Okay, so you touched on this one thing that I want to touch on too, is that you're doing mortgages to make money to fund your independent project.
Yes.
And so, somebody who's looking at you and saying, I wish I could be indie and do all these things and pay for all the marketing and everything, they may not realize that, you might need a side job, something that's making really good money, because independent music is not going to make money right off the bat, right? You've got to build that following, and streaming is BS. I mean, it's really hard to make money there.
What is it, 0.06 a cent per stream or something like that?
I know, sadly low.
Yes.
Sadly low. Where do you make your actual money? I'm guessing merch.
Yeah, merch at shows.
Your biggest revenue, right?
Honestly, I feel like my revenue is not what's keeping me going right now. I'm not there yet where I'd like to be with revenue. Music creation is costing me more than I'm reimbursing at this point. Yeah. And I'm lucky when I even just cover costs at a show, right? So a lot of times I'll play a show, but I break even, and that's a success. And between the merch and the ticket sales, I'm able to pay my band.
Girl,
because,
I know.
I could get some people who just want to kick it and play a show, but they're not going to be high-end quality musicians who've been to Berkeley, for example, right?
Let's touch on that. Having someone do you favors versus paying someone. Have you noticed a difference in the way that they perform?
I always pay people, but I agree with you in the past when I might have not. People just don't necessarily have a loyalty to things when they don't feel valued, and I can totally understand that as a human. We all have a value, and if we're not being respected like that, we don't really owe it to anybody. So I feel like when somebody's treating it like a hobby, they might not be as dedicated as someone who's making a career out of it. And if I want a band to show up to rehearsal prepared, so maybe we're playing 10 songs, that means at home they need to practice for how many hours to learn the 10 songs?
How many hours?
I don't know.
How long do you rehearse with a band before a show?
For each musician involved, and for myself, I might do 3 at-home practice rehearsals by myself before I show up to the rehearsal. So I don't know how much time the guitarist and the drummer need, but I'm guessing at least a few hours to learn the material. So then they have to take the time at home to practice my material for a few hours. Then they drive to rehearsal, show up to rehearsal, rehearse for 3 hours, pack up, drive home, show up to the show for sound check, dedicate their time, then kill all this time between sound check and the show, perform, pack up, and go. So they deserve to be paid.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
I don't think it's right to just expect that from it. I don't have any homies willing to just do that for free, and I wouldn't even feel comfortable asking anyone to do that for free, So that's a cost. But the way I see it is it's an investment in myself, in that I'm in this for the long haul, and I've been going at it so many years, and I'm just I'm so invested in seeing it come to fruition. And regardless, I've always told myself I will do music as long as it makes me happy. And if there's ever a point where it becomes, if it's not harmonious anymore and that it's causing distress rather than joy, that's a point to look in the mirror and go, what am I doing this for? But I have so much purpose and meaning in my journey and the message of my music and advocating for mental health and being a queer artist that I just have so much purpose that propels me to continue moving forward. And the cost is worth it because it gives me so much gratification.
Yeah, so you love what you do.
Yes.
And that's why you stick with it. because obviously the model of breaking even is not sustainable, right? You're going to be doing mortgages for the rest of your life until this thing takes off. Is there an end goal? Do you want to get signed to a label? I mean, because all you really need is an investor, right? Or just investment in all the stuff that you have to pay for in a big way so that you can recoup a little bit more, right?
Yes, definitely. I'd love to have a sign with an indie label whenever it feels appropriate, or if for some reason I make sense to go with a major label at some point, because I don't want to be shelved unless I'm have some kind of exponential growth and commercial success that qualifies me to be entitled to some kind of major record deal. If that happens, beautiful. But I'm aiming more towards maybe like a really nice indie label where I can be prioritized. Mm-hmm. And that would be amazing. I'm not living for my goals. I'm just living every day like it's already living my dream and happy with what I have. Mm-hmm. But I definitely would love to have a manager at some point who really believes in me and can open up doors and take my career. Maybe I'm at a level 2 to a level 5, and then eventually move on with somebody who can take me from a 5 to an 8, you know? So I would love to have an opportunity for people who have leverage to champion me, and that would be fantastic. And I look forward to that when the day comes. Also, the goal is by something like 2024 that I could let go of mortgages, and that my WisdoMania Fest, which I told you about outside of this interview, a wellness festival, the goal is that becomes a really big movement and becomes a Coachella of wellness by 2025, and that I can make a living off being a festival host and hopefully a touring artist, hopefully getting placements in TV and film and big co-writes, and not have to do mortgages anymore. But at this point, I'm also just grateful to have the job in mortgages, because it only takes me a couple hours a day, and it's honestly like sustaining such a beautiful lifestyle and letting me invest in my career. So I have no complaints there.
That's awesome. It's great that you are, like you said, healthy, living day to day. You've got a great job that is funding your passion, and the passion is like the end goal and what you want to do. And so, I'd love to touch on this festival thing in a little bit, because I'm really, interested in what you've got going on there. But I also really want to ask you about mental health, right? I mean, you're a big advocate for mental health. Even when I go to your shows, a lot of times you donate a certain amount of the proceeds to the organizations that you support. And what does mental health mean to you? How has it been a challenge? And why do you advocate so hard for it?
Love that question. So I live, breathe, talking about mental health, and try to inspire others by sharing my story and inspire hope for healing and recovery. I've struggled with mental health challenges since I was a child, at first with ADHD and OCD tendencies, which later developed into OCD, and had anorexia as a child, grew out of it, thankfully, and then later experienced depression, and then was later diagnosed with bipolar. I've had psychosis episodes that led to hospitalization, mania, more depression because of bipolar, and also PTSD episodes and sleep disorders. And with such a detailed list of diagnoses, I found my way to a life of fulfillment and purpose and meaning that I did not know was possible for me. When I first had a severe mental health breakdown, I thought it was the end of my life, and I was so sure I was ruined, that I could never find happiness again, and that my life was over. And then once I was able to change my perspective and see that as a new beginning and a new way to rewire my perspective and paradigm shift into having the courage to share my story and heal by sharing and help others at the same time, it gave me a new sense of meaning in this life. And now it's if it wasn't for my mental health challenges, I wouldn't have such gratitude and appreciation for having my mind intact when I wake up. I wouldn't have the mindfulness of every moment that I share with other people, and the depth of the quality of life that I have, and purpose to motivate other people to fight for themselves and to find a beautiful life that's ahead of them, waiting for them if they decide they want it, right? So I do what I call pain into power, which is my motto for life. Means finding, making the greatest weaknesses your biggest strengths, finding your burdens to be your blessings, and really it's just flipping. It's
perspective.
It's flipping, exactly. Right? So it's opposite action with DBT, which is dialectical behavioral therapy, and it's kind of just taking a negative, flipping it into a positive. We all do it in our own ways. I like to do this through practicing self-care and creativity, even combining the two. They go really well hand in hand. And yeah, that's a bit about why I advocate and what I've gone through that's brought me here today.
You know, I think that's really amazing that you not only, you know, have music and you're a good songwriter and a good musician, but you actually have a purpose behind it too, which I think that some people can be, you know, all over the place, and you've got a lane, which is really nice for you. And then just recently, you've become... Well, recently you have a girlfriend, and that was new. And because when I knew you, you were like not having the best of luck.
I was boy
guys.
Crazy and failing.
I didn't want to say it. You said it. You were boy crazy and failing, and I was feeling bad for you because you would tell me about this stuff. Like, can you tell me about Anya and like how that whole thing happened?
Yeah, well, like I said earlier, I got this message doing Reiki, and I just like decided to be fearless and go for it. Like, I wasn't sneaky in the closet thinking about it for years and waiting for the right moment. Like, I literally did not realize that I was queer. You know, I had my second kiss was a girl, so I like to call it my gay clues. Like, I have all these gay clues about myself, but I just miss them. And so many friends, once I told them I was dating a woman, they were like, no, duh, I knew you were gay your whole life. And I was like, what? And my sister was like, I thought you were gonna come out that time you had a mental breakdown. And I was like, no, that's not what the breakdown was about. I was losing my mind, not confused with my sexual identity. And so it was just so funny because even my psychic friend too was like, I'm psychic. I told you you're gay, but you wouldn't listen. You couldn't listen to your psychic friend. So it's so funny. Her name's Elizabeth April, by the way, if anyone's looking for some cool psychic content. She's fantastic.
We can drop her link below.
Yeah, she's amazing. So basically, it just like I trusted that my spirit guides, went for it, even though I was like, could I hook up with a girl? I don't know if I'm into this. Like, I don't know. Let's see what it is. And then I literally went on 2 dates. And I was like, I'm not feeling this. This feels like I'm just chilling with a friend, you know? Because, like, I just, when I hang out with girls, it's friends, right? And I was like, what is this? Is there chemistry here? No. And I told myself on the way to my 3rd date, I was like, I'm going to this 3rd date. I'm listening to my spirit guides. The universe has never led me wrong. If it fails, I'm just going to forget about it and become a recluse who doesn't date for who knows how long. And that's when I met Anya on the date where I was literally like in the Uber. I was like, I'm going to give up if this doesn't work out. And now it's like, here we are. She's amazing. She has life partner potential. It's still very young. We've been together 8 months, so let's see. But I feel like really confident.
8 months?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Ari.
Yes.
Time goes so fast.
Yes.
Well, I love it because you seem like you're probably the happiest I've ever seen you. And
thank you.
She got a whole EP dedicated to her.
I know, she's so lucky.
I want someone to dedicate an EP to me someday.
And it really was special because I've never dedicated an EP to anybody other than mental health awareness.
Sure.
And I've never had this kind of love that's inspired such songwriting. Like, it just flowed out of me, wrote it so quickly. Sure, it took some time to get it together to release it, but the songs just flew out of me like a fart, just like that.
That's amazing. Let's talk about songwriting for a second. So, you know, you write great songs. You've helped me write songs. I know that you write songs with other artists and everything. And I'm sure you have, like, a cool process for writing songs. But my favorite thing about your songs is that they have sometimes, like, a very painful or, you know, deep message. But they're written to these, like, kind of upbeat, lighter, like, pop tracks. And so how do you do that?
I love that you touched on that. So that is playing with dichotomy and dynamics, right? Yeah. So I love a beautiful section that's something like really dark lyrics over a nice light arpeggio guitar or piano part. It's really just playfulness, you know, when it comes to every song really boils down to lyrics, melody, production, and delivery. And delivery could be the way the vocals are presented, the way the instrumentation is done, the production, right? So every song is broken down into those 4 parts if we analyze it, right? Yeah. So I try to be as playful as possible and have them complement and clash each other in a suitable way. And that's something I definitely think makes for an interesting song. And I remember telling you this once before that, like, a great example of that is Forget You by CeeLo Green, because he's essentially saying, like, F off, but it's over this Motown really happy track.
Yes.
And it's really interesting because if you don't listen to the lyrics, you think you're listening to a party love song. But if you listen to the lyrics, you're like, wow, this is about heartbreak.
Sure,
right?
Yeah.
So it's a really great, obvious example of duality, and really anybody can play in it. It's just challenging ourselves and saying, okay, how can I deliver something dark in a way that isn't going to make everyone cry, or how can I make everyone cry by saying something so joyous, right? So it's really just finding a balance to connect with people's hearts. It's all about connection.
Yeah. No, it's cool. I mean, I like that dichotomy too. Like the CeeLo Green, that was a perfect example.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, cool. So you write songs for other artists. You also write songs for yourself. And then let's talk about like shows. I mean, so obviously you do a ton of shows, right? I've seen a bunch of them. What is it? Okay, obviously you prepare a band, but like how much do you put into a show?
A lot goes into
How many
a show.
hours do you practice for a show?
So I'd say, well, let's start at the beginning. Okay, so either there's a booking agent or you're working direct with the venue, and you have to communicate back and forth to find a date that works, right? Yeah. So once there's a date selected.
I'm sorry, can I stop you for a quick second? For someone who's never played a show, how do you even get in touch with a booking agent?
Ooh, really, really good question. I'd say your best bet is to go to the venue and attend a night that they have a concert going on and ask one of the bands there who's booking the show. Yeah. Or go to the sound man and say, I'm a band, how can I get an opportunity to play here? You know, because in-person connections, you can't beat them. Just be bright and fun and smile and be sweet, and someone will help you. I feel like you're more likely to get information showing up somewhere. Yeah. Also, a great thing to do is contact the bands who are playing at venues you want to play and say, how did you get this gig? We'd love to open up for you sometime, and, you know, maybe support them by liking and commenting on some of their posts or sharing their music and showing interest in them, and then ask them if they're willing to share some information.
Okay, so like once you're booked, then what?
Okay, so you're booked. Then you want to make sure with your band that they're available for the book. So you're coordinating, you know, who's available. You lock in the band. Then you have to lock in rehearsal time. So you get everybody's availability, lock in the rehearsal time. Then you call a rehearsal space, make sure they have a spot for you, book the time. So that's all that's the organization, right? Then I have to pick a set list. So depending on how long the set is, maybe it's 45 minutes. So 9 songs is a good amount for 45 minutes because I like to talk in between songs a lot. So basically I'll pick 9 songs. I'll go through my catalog and go, which songs do I want to promote right now? And which songs have I not played that I haven't played recently? And make sure that my set is different enough from my last set so people who are coming, because I'm at the point where I'm still counting on repeat fans and mostly friends, you know, who are supporters coming out in the community. And I don't want to bore them by playing the same music over and over again. So, okay, what am I promoting right now? How can I make this new? So that takes time to go through it. Then I make an email for my band and I make a playlist with all of the songs, usually in order of the set list if you can, or just at least all that. And then I have to have TV mixes because I'm playing a live track. Not everybody does that, but if you want your music to sound like your actual production on DSPs, digital streaming platforms, then you need to have a live track or a TV mix. And so your producer would send you a track that has a click push to the left or the right, and then all the lead vocals taken out and the background vocals in, so you can have support and harmonies while you're performing. And they take out all the sounds that the band is already playing. So if you have a lead guitarist, the producer can take out the lead guitar, whatever, so you don't have overlapping tracks. So then I make a folder with all of the TV mixes on Dropbox, include that in the email, remind them of the rehearsal. TV mixes, what they're called.
What does that stand for?
TV, like television. It's like when you played TV gigs, it used to be a thing like a TV mix.
Okay. I gotcha.
But it's live track or TV mix are really interchangeable terms. So I make a Dropbox with all the live tracks or TV mixes, whatever you want to call them. Mm-hmm. And then I send them a reminder of the time and date and studio that we're rehearsing in, the sound check information, a link to the Facebook event or Eventbrite link, the flyers for the event, and I encourage them to share it. So that's kind of like how I organize reaching out to the band. Then I got to go over all the songs and decide which songs am I playing keyboard on, if I'm playing keyboard on them, and go over all the lyrics and remember all my songs. So sometimes you haven't played them in a while, so reviewing all the lyrics. So what I do is I like to listen in the car when I'm driving somewhere. I'll just listen to my own playlist to save time, because, you know, when you're in the car, you got a lot of time to kill. Yeah. And then I, at home, just in my living room, sing the songs to the tracks, and then I get on the keyboard and practice along to the tracks. And then once I'm done doing that, I run through it with the live tracks without the background vocal to make sure I have all my lyrics tight. Mm-hmm. So that could take a few hours. And then I show up to rehearsal. Usually it's a 3-hour rehearsal. And then, like I mentioned, not till we were done, we have the whole thing of like showing up for sound check and the show and all that. So a lot of hours goes into it. And then on top of it, one thing we didn't mention is the promotion. So getting like, you know, making an ad on Facebook or boosting a post and, you know, making sure we refine the audience to be in the vicinity of the show and in the community that we're trying to reach. So if I'm playing my Anya EP, I want to reach a queer community. So I'm picking like people who follow Lady Gaga and RuPaul's Drag Race and, you know, finding like tuning into communities that make sense and then casting a wide net around the LA SoCal area and then sharing it on Instagram, doing posts about it, doing a MailChimp email blast, inviting everyone to the show.
You are a one-woman record label.
Right?
and insane. I mean, it's the amount of work that I can't even...
And that's not enough. Then I sometimes have interns Facebook or Instagram blast my last like several hundred messages, and I get them to send all of the invites, like a personalized where they change the name to, hey Josh, we'd love for you to come to blah 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 blah. Of course, yeah. And then so that gets sent out, and then I personally on my text go through everybody I've messaged in the last year, and I send everybody the same message with the name change.
I get them.
Yeah, I send it to everybody. Some people I do a little personal, like miss you, would love to see you. You know, add little changes depending on the people. Mm-hmm. But this is how much goes into it. You know, it's so much work. To me, the promotion is the least desirable part of it.
Right. Of course. The artistic, the creation and the recording and the collaboration, that's more exciting than going out there and promoting and trying to reel people in, I'm sure.
Exactly. And then every time you're out in person at a social event, I'm at a birthday party, I'm telling every single person I meet, by the way, you should come out to my show, bring your friends, it would mean so much to me. And it's exhausting.
How do you look, I we share a lot of similarities in the indie world, right? But I mean, I find it personally kind of hard to justify like self-promoting. I always feel like, am I really that girl that's just self-promote? But you have to do it. Is there like a very like graceful way to do it that you found that's like not annoying, but that's like engaging?
I think personalizing it with people's names is always helpful, but no matter what I do, somebody gets annoyed. Like someone will write back, can you take me off your mass emailing? Or somebody will be like, I can't believe you didn't put me on guest lists and wanted me to buy a ticket. And like, I always get some kind of pushback and realize I'm losing a friend every time I'm promoting a show. But then it's kind of like, the people who really support you follow through, you know? So, and it's worth it. You know, there's always going to be a hater in the game, and there's always going to be people who want to support you more because they see the grind that you're putting in, right? So I think it's just about being as genuine as possible and just saying like, hey, it would mean a lot. Whatever comes from your own heart, you know, like this project means XYZ to me, and if you supported it, it would mean the world to me. Yeah. You know, this is why, you know, or and also offering like, how can I help you? Like, is there anything you're doing that I can support? Be a team player, you know, like it can't be about me. It's about me, but also how can I give back and connect with other people and support their initiatives because everybody's working on something and everybody wants to be supported.
And you go to a lot of people's shows. I mean, I've been to shows with you. You go to their show, then they kind of should go to yours, right? You kind of go back and forth, and you guys, you know, you form a community that supports each other.
Exactly.
Right? And that's big.
Yeah, like the last time I promoted shows by text message with anybody who was an artist, I was like, P.S. if you have any shows I can attend, let me know. So happy things have opened up again. So I think it's really like people want to be seen in as much as we want to be seen, right? Yes. So if we want people to see and support and champion us, there needs to be some kind of exchange, not just a take.
Yeah.
And we're giving by doing a concert, it's giving, but it's also taking by putting the pressure on for people to constantly return.
Sure. Yeah. And that's sort of the social aspect, but can we sort of talk about the financial aspect of all this? Now, I know we talked about shows and paying a band and this and that, but let's talk about having a song in your head, hiring a producer if you know, or maybe a co-writer or whatever. What does it take to get a song produced, mixed, mastered, and distributed?
Yes, great question. And so something that if I had known years ago, maybe I would have been more skeptical about getting in this business.
It's so expensive.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people are like, they hit me up on Instagram like, hey, you want to collab? Like, hey, they're just going to put a song out. It's so easy to just put songs out. But do people actually know, like, for a quality?
Yes,
project?
and that's what I was exactly what I
saying?
was going to get at is really DIY, like,
Yes.
Anybody can get on GarageBand, build a mediocre beat, record a semi-decent vocal, throw it up on SoundCloud and not do any PR and just kind of, hey, I have a song that exists. Like, anybody can do that, and if that's what you want to do, that's a certain level that may or may not go somewhere, but that could be a great hobby and a creative outlet, and we all need creative outlets. But if we're looking at it for, like, with the goal of commercial success or just some kind of notoriety, it needs to have a value of high production quality, right? So if you are a beginner songwriter and you're not a natural, like someone like Lorde or Billie Eilish with a brother who can write the record for you, with you, I should say, then you might need to hire a songwriter in the room. That could cost something like $75 to $125 per hour, depending on the level and what they want to charge you. Then there's a producer, and most of them have a flat rate. So depending on the quality of the producer, you could find someone for $500 a track, but most likely it's probably going to be somewhere $1,000 to $1,500 a track for something really great. You might be able to score a deal if you do a 4 to 6 song EP and do a package, deal with somebody. That's always possible, and I think a smart way to do something. So
a package EP, exactly.
Yeah. So that's a great way if you want to.
Flat rate. The more you
the more you give them.
Any service,
yes.
The more time you get, the less it is.
For example, say you're like, I want to do 4 tracks. You could go to 4 different producers and pay more. You can go to a producer who normally charges $1,200 a track, and he might go, I'll do them all for $1,000 a track, and then you're saving $800, right? So there's ways to find package deals. And then there's also ways, I'm sure, with songwriters where you say, hey, if I'm going to do 10 songs with you, maybe you can cut me a break, right? So, but it's also nice to work with a variety of people when it comes to songwriters. I think it's smart to find an amazing producer and stick with them for a whole record.
If whole EP?
Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah. Because they can really make a cohesive sound if you give them the opportunity to create a soundscape for a whole group of songs as a collective. So that's costing, let's say, you found someone for $1,000. Let's say you're doing $1,000. I'm in $100 an hour, and it takes 3 hours to write the song. That's $1,300, right, for a track. Then there's mixing, unless you find a producer who can mix, which is great. Because sometimes producers will charge no extra for a mix. Some of them will charge extra for a mix. Some of them can't mix, and so you have to go to a mixer, and that can cost $300 to $500 depending on the mixer's quality. Yes. So let's say it costs $300 because this producer can't mix. So that's $1,600 a track, right?
I think most producers will say they can mix, but can they?
Exactly. That's a really good point. They might be able to mix, and it might not be up to standard, and a good thing to do is to, once you have songs that are like mixed ready, quote unquote, as mixed as the producer can do, take those songs and have a bunch of ears listen to it who are in the industry and say, hey, does this mix sound up to standard for you? I don't want to take it to mastering until I give them my notes. Get feedback from people who have a good ear. I'm not the best with mix. I just know when I don't like something, but I don't know necessarily when it's good other than I like it or I don't kind of thing. I can go turn up the background vocal here, turn down the guitar here, pull up the snare. Like, I'm good at that, but I've also played my mixes to some people and they're like, I could have done something better with this. I'm like, oh, really? I thought it was great. So get some opinions, and then, so say you're at $1,600 there, and then maybe you get a mastering job done for like $100. Some people do it less, but let's say it's $100. So that's $1,700 one song. A lot of people
just run their masters through software. They're not doing much, right?
And yeah, it's really a software, but some people have the really great software and other people don't. And I don't really know the extent of broadcast quality and mastering.
I think you're right. It's like, 100-ish for someone indie who's doing it.
Yeah, I know someone who's cheaper, but it took me years to find that. Yeah, so, it's like, you might find someone for $50 or whatever, but let's say now you're at like, what was it, $1,700 That's for one song.
Right.
So multiply that.
$1,700 for one song, and you're at the mastering stage.
Yes. So the mastering means it's ready to rock. Done. It's ready for distribution.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, artwork.
Oh yeah. So this is just a song. The artwork, if you find my my graphic designer recently told me he wants $500 per piece, and I love him to bits. I don't know if I can afford him anymore. He's so talented. He deserves all the money. But it's like, it could be expensive. You might find somebody for $75 to $150 or go on Fiverr and find a sweet deal. But if you want something high end, you need a really great artist. And if they're great artists, they're demanding a higher price. Yeah. So it depends on, and some people can go to like Canva and create their own art. And like, that's a great place to start. You know, if you don't have the budget for artwork, go like create your own. Or if you're really good at Photoshop, then bless your soul. That's great. The more skills you have, if you can edit, if you can produce, mix, master, edit, design on Photoshop, and you're like really like a one-man show who just needs to outsource a couple roles. Like
marketing.
Exactly. Or like getting someone behind the camera, and, you know, because we can't be behind the camera while we're performing unless we want to film other people, right?
Well, so they have those little click, you know, the little click buttons, like boom. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean like a red cam on a steady cam, and like, you know, high-end music video productions. But it's like the more skills we can do, the better. And I'm not
a lot of hats.
I'm not one to speak in a way like I can edit videos. I can do a few things, but I don't know how to produce. I don't know how to do. I don't have the interest to get good enough at production to ever be in love with what I'm creating. And so I would rather hire someone who has 10 years of experience than wait 10 years to love my own productions.
And there's things that you feel like you have a handle on. Like, I can edit a social media post, no problem. But then again, you know, I'm going to outsource a music video. I'm not going to try and make my own. You have to outsource the things that you don't feel like you have a handle on, right?
Totally. Like, I can write my own music videos and direct them and edit them, but I can't get behind the camera.
You can write the treatment for
them. I can't do the lighting. I can't, you know, I need to hire a team if it's a high-end concept.
Yeah.
But I'm great at writing treatments.
Wait, so where are we at? We're at 1700.
Yeah, and then let's say...
The track is done, and now what?
So, like we said, artwork. So, let's say 300. Let's just say 300. Okay. To take it to 2,000. So, now you have the track. Then you want to hire PR. You might go somewhere from $1,250 to $1,500. Let's say you pick someone great and you just do a month. Typically, when you're doing an EP, you want 3 months of PR. But let's say you're just, I'm going to do 1 month. You know, so that's $1,500. So that's $3,500 just for one song. And we're just talking about promoting a single at this point. So this would be exponential if you are doing an EP, right? So $3,500 is to promote a single. And then you might want to do boosted posts, ads. If you're going to do a music video costs a few grand for something low key.
Well, so normally there's like digital distribution too. So you've got to upload that song onto CD Baby, DistroKid, you know, whatever, you know, distribution platform. Upload it there. It's like a one-time fee, right? It's like $30 or something like that, right? And then they distribute it everywhere. But once it's up, there is no guarantee that people are going to, you know, unless they're already following you, are going to listen to it. So from there, then you have to pay for marketing expenses and getting it on playlists and getting it on the right playlists, right? And all of that. So then that's a pretty significant cost as far as I'm concerned. Is like getting it out there, getting it heard.
Yes.
Like, what's the most you've ever spent on like the marketing and all that?
I think one time I had a publicist for 7 months in a row. And that was like double rent for that time. And then on top of that, there's like hiring a playlist pitcher, which is kind of an outdated role these days, but they're still possible. It's just a little bit like payola, and it's kind of, some people are getting flagged and their songs taken down, so it's a risk. But there's also promotion companies that don't do playlist pitching, but they do ads. For example, they can have your song pop up on a video game in a phone, and like every time people log in, your ad shows up and people click it. So there's other ways that like promotions companies can get your music heard without it being playlist pitching. You know, but their playlist pitching is happening. And you can also go on Spotify for artists, and you want to make sure you do this 2 to 3 weeks before your release, and go onto the back end into upcoming releases and submit, and make sure when you're submitting to editorials that you include your PR plans, your social media plans, everything you're doing, and a bit about the background of the song, and make sure you're picking like the right moods and explanations of everything so you can get an opportunity to get on editorials. Just because you have a playlist promoter doesn't mean you're going to get on editorials. They're most likely getting you on third-party independent playlists.
Those Spotify playlists are where it's at.
Oh, right? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's where I hear a lot of new music that I like.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's hard to get on those. They don't always approve you. Just because you have a good song doesn't mean, you know.
It's so true, yeah.
You know, gosh, I wish I had a back door to that.
Yeah, me too. I don't. I do the same thing as you. I pay, you know, somebody to do the promotions. Sure. I tried something different. I used a company called the Blossom Agency to try my track good for me, and it got the most streams I've ever gotten, but also costs the most money for promotion I've ever had to pay.
You get what you pay for.
Yeah.
Sometimes, usually.
Yeah,
hopefully.
I was just grateful it worked out.
So, like, okay, you're working a real job, and you're supporting yourself in your career, your music career, and that's not going away. And now you have a new venture, which is festivals, and I really, really want to hear about this because you've touched on it with me before. Tell me about what your, like, new project is. I'm
so excited. It's been, like, taking over my days in the best way possible.
Really?
It's called WisdoMania Fest.
Okay.
May or may not change the title, but I'm feeling pretty confident about this title. So the idea is enter with an open heart, leave with newfound wisdom. We have a few different elements involved, which are live music by advocates or at least artists willing to have open dynamic dialogue about mental health and their journeys, films on mental health, comedians who are doing mental health inspired sets, and then self-care sessions and creative workshops. I'm so stoked. One class I can't wait for is teaching group songwriting because everybody in the room, no matter how advanced or how beginner or how much they contribute or how little, is being credited as a songwriter. And together we're going to write the WisdoMania Fest weekend theme song, which I will record the following week and then put out on DSPs as like a virtual loop bag for everybody involved.
So anyone that comes to this can join this group writing session and come up with the theme song for the festival.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm there.
Yes. This will be so fun. Exactly. And everybody will be credited as a contributor. It's going to be so fun.
WisdoMania. That's the first thing that comes to mind.
Right, we'll keep that. We'll keep that little nugget. And just going to be so fun. It's a 3-day festival. We kick it off with a guided meditation and concert on Friday night. And then Saturday and Sunday, we have acoustic sets with self-care sessions, creative workshops throughout the day, then headliner performances in the evening, and comedy sets and film screenings. So it's going to be so creative, so self-care oriented. It's really meant for anybody who's interested in the arts and self-care.
Okay, I have a question. Now, we have festivals like Coachella. What about the whole selfie Instagram thing? Like, what are you going to do about the people that are just like, oh my God, look at me, that are making the other people who are actually there for self-care feel?
Well, I guess everybody's welcome and selfies are totally fine. We're actually not even like selling alcohol until after 5, and we're not like promoting a kind of drug vibe. It's very much about like a clean, spiritual, holistic kind of event. We're not going to say you can't drink in the evening because that's totally fine, but we don't want people showing up sloshed to the self-care and creative workshops. It's not the energy we're going for. And, you know, it's LA. There's going to be people taking selfies. I'm sure I'll even take a selfie. And it's really, I think that...
Yeah, I'm not talking about the selfies. I'm talking about the vibe.
Yeah. I think that people will be attracted to the mental health aspect, and it will weed out that kind of demographic, you know. So we're really going for like spiritual, holistic, rounded kind of individuals who are just learning how to like elevate themselves to the next level and raise their vibrations and connect with like-minded community and build on their self-care coping skills tool belt to walk away with some kind of new creative skill or new self-care element that they didn't know could work for them. So it's really about learning, again, like the tag I said earlier, enter with an open heart, leave with newfound wisdom. So we're really like targeting a certain kind of woke quote unquote audience, and I'm really stoked. I'm manifesting a comedy set by Maria Bamford, who's like a queen of mental health comedy, and we're hoping for potentially a headliner with Passion Pit, who he's great, you know, he advocates for mental health. Also looking at Grandson potentially, if you can come do a set, and Tegan and Sarah's team we've reached out to. So just putting this out into the universe, to sending out my manifestation tendrils to get them attracted towards us. And we're just getting some introductions done between sponsors and artists and kind of figuring out how to make it happen, because it is funded by sponsorships. Okay. And we have great ideas that we're presenting to tons of brands, and we've been having fantastic conversations. And this is all really new for me. I've never been a festival host except when I hosted Mental Health Month with ARI in May, which was a virtual on Zoom month-long wellness festival that propelled WisdoMania Fest because it was a 30-day event. And I was like, wow, if I can organize a 30-day event, you know, myself.
30 days?
Yeah. Imagine, yes, it was 20 days out of 30. No, this is a 3-day weekend, but in May 2021, I hosted a 30-day online festival. And when I saw myself pull that off, I was like, wow, I'm inspired. I need to do this in real life, and this needs to be my life. So being a festival host, like, I see a bright future. I think we'll become the Coachella of wellness by 2025. I see in the future an activation in New York, LA, Toronto, where I'm from, and somewhere in Europe, and like taking all 5 weekends of May, Mental Health Month, and bringing this to life in a variety of cities. But let's start local, let's start grassroots and build. I'm just really excited because it's like, life has really changed this year. Like, I'm in a beautiful relationship. I'm writing new music that's gay, and I never knew I was queer. And here I am running a festival, and like, I never knew I'd be a host. And it just goes to show how much is out there for us. And if we stay open and become less attached to our identities and release our limited beliefs, really anything is possible.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea, too. I mean, so many people are sort of, I think, just now kind of latching on to self-care and wellness.
Thankfully.
And I mean, not to say it's trendy, but it's kind of becoming trendy.
I'm so glad.
Why not? You know what
I mean?
Provide a space for people to really like have workshops and see comedy and all that. I think that's really cool.
Yes.
You know, coming to the festival with that expectation is a lot different than going to Coachella where you're just like, I don't know, I'm here to party.
This is like a healthy escape.
Right.
Like, we want people to escape in a healthy way and find conduits for healing that they didn't know existed or already love and get to explore more.
Yeah. We went to Coachella.
Yeah, it was so fun.
Like a couple years ago.
So 2018.
Yeah,
Eminem.
Ah! We saw Eminem.
Yes.
We were like, ah! Yeah, oh my gosh! All right, you're so awesome. Well, so okay, where can people find you? I'm gonna post your links below, but like,
thank you.
Where are the best places to find you?
So my favorite social media is Instagram, but I'm on all of them: TikTok, IG, Facebook, and what else is there? Twitter. And I'm under @XARI official on all platforms. On digital streaming platforms, you can find me under x.ari.
X dot, right?
Yes.
That's really important. X dot space ARI, right?
Yes. Okay. On socials, it's just XRI official, but when you go on DSPs and you're searching for my music on YouTube or whatever, you go to x.space ARI. You'll still find me, I think, if you put XRI. Yeah. My website is a hub for everything. So if you want to like deep dive into my content and look at videos and hear my catalog, go to xriofficial.com. And a nice special gift I have on there, which it's not even a gift. It's something I think that is really meant for anybody. It's self-care tips. And I put them together after going through a really bad depression a couple years ago. Because when I was so depressed and self-defeated, I didn't have the energy to surf online for resources. I was like stuck and I felt like paralyzed every time I'd go to a new site. I'm like, more information, how? So I just decided when I was well enough, I'm going to compile a list of resources, everything from hotlines for, you know, if there's a crisis, or a warm line if it's just a situation that you need help but isn't dire, from LGBT hotlines to how to find a therapist online by postal code and by zip code and Europe.
This is all on your website?
Support groups, yes. And
oh my gosh.
Yoga videos, podcasts, self-help books, meditations, breathing exercises, Reiki information, sleep deprivation tanks, dietary information, supplements, sleep hygiene techniques. So literally everything I could possibly think of, I put in one place. So if you're looking for self-care tips, if you're struggling, or you just want to have a more fulfilling and happy life, you know, check it out. There might be 1 or 2 things that are new to you. Maybe there's someone you know who needs some new self-care tips. Please share it. I made it to help people, so it's there for you.
That's awesome. All right, guys. You need to follow this woman for self-care tips. She's got amazing music and obviously a really cool perspective on life. Please subscribe to The Right Track. Don't miss future interviews. And Ari, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, babes.
Yes. I can't wait to see what you have coming up.
Same for you.
I'm going to that festival. That's for real.
Yes.
Like, I cannot wait.
And if you want to come, sign up to my mailing list if you want to get information about concerts, releases, or be on the first to know about WisdoMania Fest. It's May 20th to 22nd in LA. Sign up to my mailing list. It's on the homepage of my website. Always looking for new people to connect with.
All right. Website it is.
Woo-hoo!
All right, Ari.
Thank you.